All right, so today we're going to talk about pencil. All right, this is going to go into your sketchbook. What I would suggest you do is get a little bit of tape and put a little tape here, put a little tape here, and tape it into your sketchbook so you're able to actually flip back and forth with it, okay? All right, so we're going to zoom in to the section that we're going to work on. All right, so the pencil is one of the most basic and versatile art mediums. Not only do you do math, write stories, and take tests with them, you can create amazing artworks with them as well. A piece of artwork created with only pencils called, here we go, let's add our first one, achromatic, all right? Okay. Basically, this is what it means is that it's a range of values. All right, only created by pencil. There are different types of pencils that are designed for different types of marks. All right, so for example, this kind of pencil, I'm calling it a regular pencil. All right, it's great for everything. Okay. All you have to really do is just sharpen it. So the really cool thing about this, ladies and gentlemen, is that it can do a whole bunch of things. If you sharpen it and keep it sharpened at all times, you'll always have a point. You can go on the side and have a nice wide point. So it's pretty cool and pretty versatile, all right? On the flip side, a mechanical pencil is great for fine details because it has that sharp point, all right? But it says that, yes, it never needs to be sharpened. It is tough to shade with, and we're going to go over shading in a little bit, but you'll kind of see why, all right? And it says, and it needs to be reloaded when the lead runs out, all right? The graphite, okay? We have drawing pencils. So drawing pencils are a little bit different. They kind of look like this, but what they actually do is, you see how this says the HB, all right? There's a range of drawing pencils. Some are light, some are dark, all right? And you can use those, not a problem, but for regular standard, middle of the road, by the way, this is middle of the road, pencils, this is pretty good, okay? Your fingers, okay, can help blend large and medium spaces. So like really large spaces, you could, rub with your fingers, but if you're having a real huge issue with that, you can also rub with tissues. You could take rolled up, paper, and you can rub with that as well, all right? Small spaces, okay, this is what's called a blend-in stump. Okay, this is for like areas, for places that you can't reach. All right, so let's write that down. Blending stump. All right, and by the way, this right here, a blending stump, is pretty neat. It's actually rolled newspaper. Okay, now you can kind of see this one's definitely been through quite a bit. Please don't peel them. All right, because what happens is when you peel them, they come apart, and we want them to stay together. In order to actually clean them off, although most of the time I prefer them to stay messy, all right, but if, let's say, the end is starting to really like this one's starting to, it's not quite yet, when it starts to peel off a little bit, you can actually take a sandpaper and you can kind of sandpaper this off, and it will clean up the end, all right? All right. Let's finish reading. This is, a blending stump can help smudge the graphite in small places that your fingers can't. Okay, cool. It says a blank can remove a lot of pencil at once. A regular eraser. All right. So if you're trying to use, you can use this eraser. I have other ones, by the way. If you're trying to get like a whole huge area, okay. It says, but be careful, if you draw too dark and you try to erase, not all of it will come up. Okay, this is what I call ghost lines. So for example, if I press really hard, and if you have a really what's called a heavy hand, all right, when you go and erase, see how you can't quite get it all up? This is what I call ghost lines. So if you kind of like draw just with a nice even, pressure, not too hard, you can get most of it up, all right? But there's a different kind of eraser called a kneaded eraser, and I'm going to go over that in a second. So a kneaded, okay, there we go. All right, so a kneaded eraser will remove just a little bit at a time. Now I'm gonna show you how this kind of works. So what happens is you can actually take this, twist it to be in small spaces, okay? It also takes up a little bit at a time. But the cool thing about this one, okay, is you can actually mold it into itself, all right, to kind of like clean it up in a way, all right? So that's why it's called kneaded. All right, so what can actual pencils do? All right, so let's move this up. There we are. And by the way, if there's ever a point that I'm going too fast, just pause it, you know, and it's okay to come back. All right, so the first thing that pencils can do is we can make tons of marks, okay? And one of the few things that we can do that are marks driven are patterns, lines, and textures, okay? So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna give you a little time, okay? You're gonna have to pause the video. All right, and you're just going to go through and I want you to create a design or a pattern that demonstrates wooden, okay? If you're not quite sure, look at the table. It's great examples. Hairy, how would you describe hairy? Fluffy, scaly. Here, for now I'm going to do hairy, okay? So what I'm looking for is something that looks like, you know, maybe hair. And this, by the way, is not a huge space. I expect you to fill it in, okay? Put lots of little details, all right? Just don't give me a little bit, give me a lot. Cram it in, all right? So that would be hairy, all right? On the bottom one, I want you to come up with a design or a pattern, okay? So something that has round, all right? So something that definitely, when I look at it, I think round. So I'm thinking round here, curvy, round. All things round are going to go into here, okay? So no matter what I look in here, I'm thinking round, okay? All right, so round, round, round. Floral, what kind of lines could I do that? And by the way, you can fill in. Give it a variation of this. When you do floral, what could you create in here that would definitely make me think floral? Thick and thin and musical, all right? And fill the space, try to cram that in. Doesn't take that long, all right, to do that. So pause the video right now and fill this in. Okay, good job. All right, so we're gonna go into the center page. All right, so the first thing that we would like to do toward really, you know, trying different things is using what can we do with our pencil other than making marks? Well, we can actually do what's called gradation, okay? So gradation's a little different, and so is value scale, excuse me, all right? Actually, I know this is a little bit out of order, but you know what? I actually want to do this one first, so let's flip that page over. Okay, so value scale. Value scale is a range, okay, of values. All right, what's a value? Oh, it's lightness and darkness of a color. Lightness or darkness of a color. Now, right now we're using pencil. And I remember that word that I said early on, achromatic? That's just pencil, okay? So our color is pencil. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to create a couple little value scales here, and then we're going to put it into practice. All right, so what we're going to do is we're all going to try a very light value, okay? So we're going to go nice and light, all right? In order to get a little bit darker, we press a little bit darker, okay? And an even darker scale, or darker value. Nice and pressed, okay? Not so bad, right? These can also be kind of called intensity. How intense is your pencil? But that's pretty much it, all right? Now, we're gonna do this again, but I wanna actually introduce to you the blending stump, okay? All right, so we're gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna move my objects over so I have a little bit more space, okay? Same thing, but you may have noticed that here I filled in all the space. And you need to do that. You need to have even pressure. It's not really a huge area, okay? I'm just gonna fill it in. Here, I'm not gonna get so worried about filling it in because I know I'm going to use this. Okay, but I definitely want to make sure that I have the right pressure. Okay. Now blending stump. Now notice I am not going to clean this up. I actually kind of like it that way. Okay. So this is a small space. I'm just going to take this and I'm going to rub it. Okay. If I want to, I can rub my finger, but this is a small space. It would end up going over and I'd have to clean it up. All right. Same thing here. It's a small space. Fill this in. It just moves that graphite right around where I need to. And it kind of gives like a smoother effect. Now one thing you'll probably notice is that it does take some of the pencil off. So it makes it a little lighter. So if you need to go back in and add another layer on it, that's absolutely fine. All right, so we can master 3. What I want us to do now is we're gonna take this and we're gonna break this down, okay? So we're gonna go from super dark, okay, all the way down to white, okay? So this one is going to be the whitest, the lightest, okay? And then you're going to go up a little bit. And by the way, you can do blending stump or you can do regular. It does not matter to me. Whatever you feel most comfortable with, absolutely fine, okay? So just going to go through. As I said, if you ever need to, you can just pause. All right. Oh. Get a little darker here and a little even darker. Now, if you ever get to this point where you're like, something doesn't seem right, you can always go back to adjust. So this one looks like it may need a little bit more darkness to it. A little bit more, a little bit more. Perfect, okay? All right, so we've kind of put that together. Now we've got to put this all together, and what does it look like? All right, so I'm going to move this up. There we go. All right, so we can kind of see this is what it would look like if, let's imagine that the sun was here, okay? So if the sun was behind it and it was hitting from the back end, these would all be in the shadow, okay? So we're going to try to put this together. What I would like you to do is I would like you to replicate, copy, okay, what we got going on here. You can use the blending stump or you don't have to, all right? So go through and don't worry, I'm not getting so picky about if you color over the actual windows, okay? But you want the darkest to be up front because our sun or our moon, okay, is gonna be on the other side, all right? Then a little bit lighter, okay? And lightest in the back, all right? See if you can get it to go the opposite way. There we go. All right, so finish this up, pause the video, and I want you to complete that. Okay, so on to gradation. So gradation is basically, it's a value scale that we just smoothed all together, okay? So it's a nice transition. So we can write smooth transition. Okay, transition, yes, there we go. Between light and dark, okay, so smooth. All right, so this is how we're gonna do this. First, I'm gonna tell you, I don't like tornadoes, okay? They're not cool, they're not fun, all right? And they definitely don't work in art too. And you're like, well, what does that have to do? Well, a lot of times what people do is, and don't do this, they'll start, shading, and then they get kind of lazy, and then they get smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. That's a tornado, people, tornado, okay? So what I want you to do is, we're gonna start off really wide, and all you're going to do is you're going to just slowly, slowly, slowly lighten the pressure of your pencil all the way to the end. All right. Beautiful. Okay, and if you have to go back up, as you can kind of see, I just went up and I adjusted it. Okay. Do this again for that one. Use this one. All right. This one takes a little bit of practice, so I want you to try it 2 times. Okay. So take this one out all the way through. Now remember, with the blending stump, you don't have to worry about filling in every little detail, okay? Fill it in nicely all the way through. There we are, beautiful. All right, okay, so this one, try your best to see how far you can go, okay? Give the first one, see how far it is, see if the next one you can get even further, okay? Either way, I want you to get at least further than that. Okay, so I'm going to do one, and then I'm going to pause the video so you can complete both of them. Oh, I made it through the half point. And by the way, you can use the blending stump for either one, or you don't have to, okay? All right, so we have that. So take a moment, pause the video, do both of these, okay? And come back, we're going to do this one. All right, so the bottom one. Now, we're not using the lights just yet, okay? But, so this is what we're going to do. We're going to pretend that this is our light source. Light source is, by the way, anything that is where the light is directing us. You know, could be the sun, could be a flashlight, could be anything, all right? For the most part, all right, when it's directed one way, so let's say this way, the highlight, okay, or the space that's brightest, okay, is right here. And then we have some shadows here, and we have another shadow here. Okay, we're going to go into more detail on what those names of those shadows are going to be on the back side, okay? But for now, we're just kind of practicing where these gradations go, all right? So light, we're going to have it this way. Now, by the way, when you are doing gradation on curved areas, they fade out in a circle, like curved. All right. So highlight there. All right, we're going to come around. Lightest space is right there. All right, so remember how I said I was going to show you what this kneaded eraser is? So this is where this can kind of come in, all right? So if I take this and I kind of dab it, notice how it comes up just a hair, okay? So I can actually blend it in nicely, all right? I could actually go in here and blend this out too, all right? See how beautiful that comes out? And if my highlighted area or my light area next to my light source is not bright enough, I can kind of just dab it. You don't want to scrub it because that would take just too much off. All right, so we have closest to the light is going to get that. All right, closest to the light, so that means that we're going to want the light area there. So let's go through here. So this is just putting it into practice. Okay, now how I did this one was a little bit different. I put in these lines and letting it fade out. Okay. Alright. Alright. So you can kind of hear the music in the background. I don't know if you can. Alright. I'm going to use my finger just a little bit. Oh, maybe not. See? Way too small. Alright. Blend that through. It's a little bit, a little too, lighten it just a little bit. Okay, there we are. Now you notice you probably can't, I don't know if you can see, but there's like a really huge difference between this one and this one. Just want to make sure it's a nice smooth, all right? All right, so this is what I would like you to try to do, all right? So this one is going to get done. It's going to be lightest over here. The bottom, all right, how to deal with this. So we're going to pretend that this is on the other side of this, okay? So what that actually looks like is this is going to be all dark, okay? And it's going to get lighter on the edge, all right? So, ready, dark in the center. And then lighter as we go out. All right. So you're going to do that one. This one's on this front side, so that means the light is here and it gets darker on the outside. I know, crazy, right? You're like, what do you got me doing, Mrs. Smith? Giving you definitely a challenge, all right? Okay, this one's a little bit harder. You might need to kind of like work on this one. There we go. Love the blending stump. Okay, so kind of like you can go through and I can blend that. There we are. Okay, and this one is just coming from this side. Okay, so the lightness is going to be down here and the darkness will be here. Okay, so pause the video, finish these up. All right. Okay, on to the back side. All right, hold on, I gotta grab a light because I totally forgot a light. All right. All All right, cool. So what you might need to do is you might not now need to kind of like make a little tunnel. I know that sounds so strange, but a little like dark area, all right? Because honestly, taking your light, okay, and you can use any light, might be a little hard to see where some of these shadows are. So if you get a book and kind of put like a top over it, put your, little thing in the book, almost like when you stand it up like this. Okay, I know it sounds weird this way. So if you hold it up like this and put something on top, you can put your object right on the bottom, okay? So it has like a dark space, all right? All right, so where do we go in this? So we know this one right here. This one's called a light source. All right, so the light source, we kind of already went through. It says anything that's bright. This one's called, we can kind of come over here and like, they're different tones, okay? Different values. So tone is also kind of like a value. So if we say that this one's the light value or light tone, okay? This is a medium, all right? Now this one, it's got an interesting name, okay? This is called the core because it's the object shadow. Core shadow. Now this does have a shadow as well, okay? And that's fine, but this is where the darkest part of the object is, all right? Now the one that's on the floor, that's called the cast shadow. Okay. All right. Why are these important? Well, it's going to help you with these. So what you're going to do is, I want you to actually look at some objects and put some of this stuff into play. All right. So as we can see, there's a difference between shape and object, okay, or form. So what you're going to do is you're going to pick 4 from this box, okay? And I want you to draw the shape, okay? And then you're going to do the form. By the way, sometimes the form is just drawing it in a special way, or it's the special way and it's adding the shadow. So we kind of know this. So what would the form would be? Okay, so this one would be actually shading it. So I'm going to take this, put my light close to it in my dark space, and just look and say, okay, I see that the light is here, so my shadow's over here. All right, now we have that right here. This is your, yep, you got it, core shadow. This is your highlight space that's right there, okay? And as I said, you can use the blending stump if you want. Then we have to put in the actual cast shadow. All right, so that's what mine kind of looks like that. So the cast shadow, sometimes it looks like one large value, sometimes it doesn't, all right? I'm gonna go in, clean this up, make sure my highlight is nice and bright enough, all right? I think mine's a little bit there. All right, really cool, looks like an object, right? All right, so here we go. All these other ones, okay? Do your best in trying to come up with what was the original shape. I bet you it was probably just a circle, and then it goes into that, okay? You're gonna draw it. Remember, if you draw it, it may look weird, and it's okay. But if the line is going up and parallel, you draw that, all right? Here, looks like a triangle, which is absolutely fine. Then the one is the cone, okay? Difference between these two, by the way, ready, is literally this shape, okay? Oh, excuse me. The square, okay, goes into the cube, by the way. Don't do, huge favor, please don't do the double draw. This is double draw where you connect, okay? Actually start off with the lines and follow where each line goes, okay? This is cute and adorable when you're like 3rd grade. Not so cute when you're in middle school, all right? So start off with your lines, look where all these lines go, connect them, and you will get that, okay? And as I said, any of the shapes are fine. This one's a little different, all right? So go through and put your objects, okay, your shapes, transform it into forms. Make sure you apply the shadows. It says objects look right until the shadows and the objects are, on the ground. So this will look a lot better when it's on there. And last thing, okay, you're gonna have to pause. So I'm gonna quickly tell you the last thing, all right? Okay, so last thing what I want you to do is make sure that this is attached into your sketchbook, okay? Check your hands. You might have some smudges. You might have to wash your hands, which is absolutely fine. Return everything, all right? And you're all done with pencil.